Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Gooners podcast. So this is the episode where we discuss our mighty 0-0 draw at Anfield. I mean, I'm calling
with
it
10 men. With 10 men.
yeah, with 10 men. I'm calling it mighty for a very specific reason, right? We had 46 clearances in this game, 13 interceptions, 12 tackles. If that isn't mighty, I don't know what is. 46 clearances. That is how rock solid the back five, back four, back six, whatever it was that stood.
Keep it back 10. I don't care.
it was amazing defensive solidarity that I witnessed. Like after, I don't know, I don't remember the last time we had a game where we went like this, like where we went like 60, 70 minutes of the game with absolutely 10 men all pushing up against the wall and then coming out with with no goals. I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have been disappointed even if we had lost the game by a goal or something, but to come out with a 0-0 draw at Anfield, that was special. Aben, how special do you think that performance was?
I think very special, considering. So I think the last game we played in the league was City, and we were so disappointed. We did so well. We were dominating the game, but eventually we lost out. So considering that, and then followed up with the very bad performance against Nottingham Forest. So this game was definitely, I think we were on our downward slope where our usual polarized fan base would have been tending towards, oh shit, we are again going down the rabbit hole. But yeah, and on top of that, how the game started and what was our position after the first quarter, it was an amazing, what do you say? We had the cojones to grind the result. I'll put it that way.
Actually, I'm so excited.
Telling us we have been lacking that, right?
Yeah, I'm so excited that I didn't introduce you and Arun at all. Like, so we've got Arun back with us, and we've got Aben back with us, just in case if people are wondering whose voice we are hearing. But yeah, it's so that actually, like Aben, you made that point, right? Like, it seems like something is happening in this team when it comes to the mentality of it. Arsenal have always been, we after what Fabregas left, we have always been told that we are kind of pushovers. Like all of us had weak mentality, all of our players, and to an extent that makes sense too. Like when the big situations come up, we always seem to lack stuff. But off late, and I have been one of the culprits who have always called out like, yeah, no, we are still not there. We are still not there. We are still not there. But off late, we have been standing up a little bit.
Oh, yes, definitely. We've been not only this game was a defensive performance. We didn't concede. We held our own, but we've got games also where we have dominated also. Now this was a typical game. If it was 3 years back, 4 years back, I would have expected a 4-0 or a 5-0 result after going down to 10 men. But definitely there is improvement, and it is there to see. It is evident. Obviously, I think we have miles to go, but yeah, there's definitely improvement, and you can see there's a fight in the team. People wants to fight, and more importantly, I don't think if I didn't see the game, I only caught the highlights, but from what I read, the bond between the fans and the team is also stronger than what the last previous few years, at least. It's much stronger now. The players are showing it, the fans are seeing it and reciprocating that passion back to them, the support. So definitely, I think I let Arun talk about the game, but because I didn't see it full. But definitely, I would not have expected this result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so Arun, the regarding fans, right? We did keep the Anfield crowd kind of quiet, not just with our performances. Even when they were singing the "You Will Never Walk Alone" song, our fans out.
It was getting drowned out totally by what our fans were doing. I when I started watching the game, I was like watching it on a Super Sports stream, so South African stream, and it didn't really matter. But I thought for a while that there was something seriously wrong, but because all that I could hear were Arsenal chants, and we were playing at Anfield, it made no sense to me. So I was like trying to increase the volume of my TV, reduce it, try to see if something was going on, and then I realized it is actually the fans who are like out singing the Liverpool fans. It made me sad for a moment because I then turned and looked at my Twitter. It's still like 50% of the fans are like, Arteta out, like, this team doesn't do anything. Like, who are you guys? Then there's a group of people who are like screaming their lungs out at Anfield, like drowning that noise. And you idiots are on Twitter going on and on about what this team is not doing. For me, this team is doing something that I have not seen any Arsenal team in the last, I would say, decade do. Like I what we are witnessing here in my opinion is something very special. It's not about quality, it's not about skill or talent, it's about the mentality. Usually, like you said, during Fabregas time, we probably had two or three people who would put their all in, and that would be because of Fabregas doing all that. The moment he left, we had only Sanchez. The rest of the people did play, but there was never an instance where you could say, okay, all the 11 players are playing for the team consistently. You had Koscielny do it once in a while. You had Mertesacker do it once in a while. But were they able to do it week in after week in, week in, week out? No. This team is able to do it. Forget about the Nottingham Forest match. They were able to do it against City. They were able to do it against Liverpool. And they've been doing that consistently this season. This is definitely, it's not about one-off performances. It's about your consistency. And these kids are 20 years old. And they are able to do that at Anfield. Like if you notice, at no point did any person in the team give up. There was no point where they were like, there were mistakes, but then the team was like working together to prevent those mistakes, or like even if after they happen, to damage control them. You normally don't see this. Like Aben said, the moment Xhaka got the red, I was like, oh my God, not again. Like it's going to be a procession. The floodgates are going to open. We're going to be like, 4-0, 5-0 by 60 minutes. And then we'll try to do something. But every I was looking at it in 5-minute periods. Okay, we've survived this 5 minutes. We've survived this 5 minutes. Let's keep going. And as I kept going, by 70 minutes, I was confident that we'd be able to get something out of the game. I've never felt this before in any of the teams in the last 10 years. I'll go ahead and say this.
But again, Eben, all this for me, right? I'm also.
And one more thing, at the end of the game, I don't know if I'm going to have kids, but I felt like a real proud father. If I did have, like, it was like my Saka, my Martinelli were doing something like this amazing, and I was like beaming with pride. That's how it was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but what I was getting to was, Evan, right? Like the thing was, all this, like we have performances against like Chelsea when we did like the back to walls performance. We did against Leicester. I think we came back from 2 goals to do this, and then we also did that against City. We also did that against Liverpool. We have had this kind of like performances where we feel that, okay, this is great. This is what the team is doing. But all this are not reflecting in the points. Like Liverpool, it's a 0-0 draw. City game, it's a loss. We are talking about mentality, but this is not translating into into points, into results. Does that bother you a little bit?
Not at the moment. See, I think before the City game, probably when we would have got together, we were all content, happy with the points which we had got. We knew it was going to be a tough run. Obviously, the Liverpool and the Forest game were not Premier League, but still, the City game, we have the Tottenham game coming up. So we know they're tough games. So City game, you would not have expected to get any points. But still, after the game, yes, it felt like we deserved more. But before the game, you would have never thought about getting even a point against City. But we turned up, we dominated the game. Unfortunate circumstances, we ended up losing. But I'll not say that was a point. It was a point loss, but the mentality that the team showed was amazing. Now, look at the Liverpool game. Now, we were supposed to play at home first. That didn't happen. We went to Anfield, got down to 10 men, but we still were able to hold up the entire game. We were able to hold our defense strong together, and we didn't concede. Now we have an actual chance because the second leg is going to be at home. We can actually push towards getting into the final. So for me, yes, to answer your question, you don't see when you look at the points table. I think we placed sixth now, if I'm not wrong, fifth or sixth. I think West Ham is above us, but we have a game in hand.
Game in hand, yeah.
But if you look at the points table, from where we started, we've come a long way, and we still have a long way to go. But the mentality, the passion is showing. And if you remember in the starting few games, I think after the Tottenham performance, if I remember correctly, we had the Tottenham win. Then we went to Brighton and we drew. So the performances are not consistent enough for us. But now we are seeing it day in and day out. The consistency is improving. So I think I would say trust the process. We are in the process of improving. So and it is there to see. It's not that it's not visible. It is there to see, and this would eventually lead to what you're looking for. That is points on the table.
And if I were to add on to that, like Aben said, like, after the consistency, the most important thing is the hunger that these players are showing. Like their heads are never dropping. That's incredible for 20-year-olds on the pitch to be able to do it. And all of these guys have the guys that Arteta wanted in terms of what their mentality is. It's like it shows like, you can be super skilled, you can be super talented, but if you do not have the right head to be able to overcome these adversities, then you're not going to be a player at the highest level. No one knew about Tomiyasu, but he's a monster. Like this is the kind of things that we're seeing. And out of the 11, I think probably Xhaka and Lacazette are not the only players who are not his. I mean, KT we could say, but like the rest of the players are his players almost. Like so it's the fact that this is being done by these kids and not players who are 25 years or 30 years old who played a lot of international football speaks volumes. How many of these kids have played international football? This speaks volumes, seriously.
It's surprising that you picked like Lacazette and KT among that group, because like in this game, I felt both of them showed.
Oh, they did. No, I'm not talking about like the fact that they're the bad seeds, but I'm saying in terms of what Arteta got, like he's able to. Of course, KT's mentality was known, and that's why he was got in.
Like literally, there was one moment where there was a kind of a loose ball. And on Liverpool's half, and all of our team was camped in our half, and then KT popped out of nowhere, take that ball and drive in, and I was going like, yes.
Yeah.
After he drives in, Lacazette Lacazette makes a run, and he was not ably supported. He turns back and yells at like everyone else in the team, or someone's very specific, and I was going like, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it shows that the players are playing for the manager. They're finally playing for the club. They're valuing the badge. Like gone are the days when these guys would just drop and not think about making a comeback, because that was out of the question. We've seen like City games where it became very popular. Xhaka screaming, "We are scared." Who's saying that now? Like that's the thing. That's the shift that you need in mentality, and we're seeing that. From that, we are coming to a point where Ben White at the end of the game is screaming, "This is what we fucking do." This is the shift in mentality you need. It's not about your skill. It's about how well you're able to be there in that game. Not getting switched off for 90 minutes is not easy.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with Arun. The hunger is there to see. And more importantly, there's a togetherness within the team to fight together.
Yeah, exactly. They're fighting for each other. They're fighting for the manager. Like they're realizing what is going on, which is fantastic.
The other thing, right? Like Aben, before the game, there was so much controversy around the whole thing. When Jurgen Klopp came out and said the whole thing about like, oh, we had some false positives, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was supposed to be down with COVID, turned out to be false positive, and he came straight back into the team. Like most of the Liverpool team who were like down with COVID came back and was ready to play. It was all interesting. And then after the game, Jurgen Klopp goes back and says stuff like, oh yeah, the boys came back, but I can see that they are they are not 100%. They are not who they are. Like you said, they were false positives. How could false positives have impact on their health?
I'd say we should consider ourselves lucky that the game happened. Otherwise, the next Liverpool game might have been after AFCON, after Saleh and Mane were back. But yeah, I think it was very strange.
And then people call me conspiracy nerd. Like, how is that not a conspiracy? Like,
now, I don't know what to say to that.
Look what you did to him, and he has no answers right now. He's just dumbfounded right now.
There'll be a Liverpool fan sitting somewhere around there saying they probably got a batch of test kits which were not right, which were wrong.
Tampered test kits.
But this is how I start, folks. How I start, convincing one person at a time about my conspiracies and making everyone believe that this is what is happening. But Liverpool did have a kind of a full team. Like when the team sheets came out, Liverpool had a full team. We didn't. We were still missing Tomiyasu. We were still missing midfield. We were still having like Lokonga in the midfield. We didn't have anyone to play number 10. We put Lacazette and Nketiah up there, right? For me, that was at least a little bit of a situation that I understood, like putting Lacazette and Nketiah in the upfront position. But for me, the whole point of having Cedric is still a mystery, because when Chambers came in, you could see the difference, right? You could see the difference between what Cedric was doing and what Chambers is doing, right? Arun, do you want to take this, or Aben, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I can take that. Cedric, I think it's two reasons. One of which definitely we shot ourselves in the foot. One is because he played the last game, so he's probably gotten like more match sharpness, if you could call it, though it's completely blunt in his case. That's what he was supposed to have, and that's why he probably played the game over Chambers, which is very surprising, because if you really notice last season, Chambers did everything that was asked of him within his limited capabilities, and Tomiyasu just raised the bar completely. So it made Chambers look ordinary. Of course, he's ordinary, but the thing is, it's the second that brings me to the second reason why Cedric could have played. Nobody wants him. We're trying to push him out. Nobody wants him. By playing him against the likes of Nottingham Forest, probably he was looking to get a good performance. But then our dude is just he's completely not at the level that the team demands. I don't know. He'll probably do well for another Premier League team, but he's not there for this team. So these are the possible reasons that I could think, because the team is trying to push him out. Nobody wants him. And you're not going to push him out unless you can show what he's done. I don't think he's played any games from the beginning of the season. Right, so we need something. You need some eye test to be able to see what this fellow is still capable of. We're not able to send him even out on loan anywhere. So that for me is probably reason. But otherwise, tactically, it makes no reason to not play Chambers and play Cedric over him. Chambers doesn't overlap. You don't want him to overlap. That's his biggest deficiency. He overlaps, the entire team is going to be on the other side. But whatever he does in terms of keeping the defensive stability on the right, he does it really well. He does it way better than Cedric. His defensive awareness is really good. That's why being a centre back and having played like a defensive midfielder also helps. So even in the last game, even when he did miss stuff, it was not too dangerous because the positioning of White was perfect. There was nothing that's going beyond. So he has done well. And with Cedric's injury, I'm thinking that he's going to be the second choice right now. So that effectively closed the window for us, I think, in terms of pushing Cedric out this January.
But even without Cedric's injury, in my mind, it's the pecking order would be Tomiyasu, Chambers, then Cedric. That's how I am thinking. But
definitely,
the
I
only
agree with
thing
you.
I can think of is Cedric was maybe a slightly more attacking option, because his crossing is better. You're playing Lacazette and Nketiah up front. You don't have your creative spark in the middle, Odegaard not playing, and our midfield being weakened. The creativity options from midfield would have reduced. So might be through the wings if Cedric does. The only thing he does well is crossing.
Yeah.
So that is the only reason I could think of. Otherwise, like you guys said, there's no reason. Chambers offers more defensive stability. So obviously, if Tomiyasu is not there, it's better to play him.
Yeah, that makes sense now that you said
highlights
it.
the fact of we definitely do need a right back.
Backup right back.
Backup right back, yes.
It's true. Yeah, we were trying to use the width of the pitch more to get the balls in, like what Liverpool do. We did not have a creative midfield. That's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to stay clear of the Xhaka discussion, although we are nearing that point right now. But before we talk about the Xhaka disaster class, I still want to talk about the attack in a sense, because like before that 20th moment, we were attacking. We were producing moments, like we had a shot on target when Saka went through. We had like moments where we looked threatening as much as Liverpool was trying to break us down. It was almost a game of like, we are going to hit them on the counter kind of performance from us, even before all this started, right? And Saka was absolutely brilliant when he went on, like he took on players. He put in a cross that Lacazette missed by that much. If he would have just touched it, it would have gone in and it would have been a different game. And then there was another cross that Saka tried to put in, which was like Ben White and they kind of had a mix-up of sort. So we still had a plan to attack Liverpool from the start, right? And it was interesting to see that came in so close to working what we were trying to do. But on the other side of things, Aben, Ramsdale had one of those alumni days.
He's an Arsenal keeper, so you should expect that.
It's by default.
But still, it was surprising to see that, right? Like we are so used to. I mean, for me, first of all, is this the end of Leno? Like, is this the last game he has played Nottingham Forest? I don't see him getting a game in PL, and we are almost into the semi-final final stage of the cup. So there is no other competition that he could play.
I think probably yes, unless obviously something happens that we don't want to happen. An injury to Ramsdale is the only option that can bring Leno in the team. Otherwise, yes, you're right, because we're out of FA Cup. In the League Cup, we've just got the second semi-final, and if we qualify the final, and I don't see Leno starting those, with us trying to get there and win the cup, definitely I'd say Ramsdale. And League, it's going to be Ramsdale all through, unless there's an injury that forces him out, or COVID or something like that.
So anyways, in case of, if you guys want to know more about how tactically the team performed, I mean, the listeners, if they want to know more about how the team tactically performed, we are doing the tactical analysis section. I'll link it somewhere over here somewhere about the tactical breakdown of this game. Especially it'll be interesting. We are trying to incorporate some more things, so do comment out if you want something new on it, and do like, share, and subscribe. I'm adding that right now. So the big elephant in the room, Arun, Xhaka's thread. Right? I was listening to Ask blog, Ask Us, right? And they had this amazing I don't know where they read it from. They read like a fiction where they were like, when the ball went into the air, Jota was thinking like, I'll take this down in my chest, I'll put a grand first touch and then take a shot. That was what was going on in Jota's head. And then in Xhaka's head, it was like, I could do a scissor kick right into his face. That was what was going on, Xhaka said.
I know we are laughing about it, but like, I don't think we can do anything else at this point. Like, I mean, how many times do we just keep talking about the same thing over and over again and get frustrated? I'm like, I'm out of fucks to give, if I can say that about Xhaka. Like, that's what I feel right now. I felt very irresponsible. Like, this has been the recurring story. Yeah. this factor that he brings in, like you can talk all about the Premier League referees being against you, you having a reputation and all that. But if you're going to put an attacker like that on the last man, in spite of knowing that, we are getting decisions against us, and the referees know that you have a reputation like this, it just reiterates like how irresponsible this person is. He is letting these 20-year-olds who are putting their hearts and lungs out and playing their lives, like playing for their lives on the pitch. He's just letting them all down. For me, he let the entire team down. It was, I'm out of. I don't have any anger anymore on him. We knew that he had limited. He had his deficiencies in terms of skill set. If you notice, everything is being done to get the best out of him. Every manager has been trying to do that. We've been trying from Wenger days. Wenger tried that. Emery tried that. Arteta seems to have finally cracked it, and then he does this. And it's not like it happens. Okay, now it has happened in this game, and we can rest assured that it's not going to happen again this season. That's never been the case, right? It's like a pattern where you see him being good 5 or 6 games, and then all of a sudden he gets it right. Comes back, he's good for 5, but you're letting the team completely down by doing this. Yeah? And we don't, mind you, what was even more baffling was he was a senior player on the pitch. We do not have any midfielders on the bench. It is visible him and Sambi are the only midfielders in there. How can you do this?
We cannot live with him. We cannot live without him.
No, for me, I think I'm done. I know. I do not want to wish ill on the player. I would never do that. But I think the time has come. Else Arteta is basically shooting himself in the foot if he wants to keep him for another season. This is heights of irresponsibility. Forget about the foul and all that. We know he's a hothead, but this is very irresponsible in my opinion. That's where I stand. It's enough, dude, enough. If I were to be doing this at my company, I wouldn't be having a job right now. If I were to perform for 3 months and then all of a sudden go missing for a month or do something stupid like go and punch my boss, I wouldn't be having a job right now. I don't know how he still does,
But Aben, right? It is kind of weird, and again, one of my conspiracies, right? The whole decline of Arsenal started when Xhaka joined us. At least that's how it looks.
Decline of Arsenal started far before that. Don't put it on Xhaka.
I mean, yes, but also he has more red cards than Patrick Vieira. He has more red cards.
He's not competing with Vieira. He's competing with Ramos.
Well, Ramos has 3 UCLs to show. I think 4, and he's won the La Liga too.
Yeah. No, he's not competing that part of only the red card part. So see, Xhaka, I agree with Arun. We have to look beyond him. But having said that, he is one of the better midfielders we have now. So I think we tried to get Locatelli in the summer. We had plans of going beyond Xhaka. Obviously we had the Roma bid that came in, etc. So I think Arteta knows that he has to go beyond Xhaka, but he's basically, what do you say? You have only an n number of players for this season, and we have to work with him. And he is one of our better performers also in midfield. So there are games where we've actually, when he was injured, we actually missed him. There were games where we actually missed him. In this pod, we've spoken about missing Xhaka.
Definitely, yeah.
So he's got qualities. He's got his pros and cons.
That makes it more frustrating, isn't it? When we want him, we realize that, when we do not have people, he has to be the responsible one, and he does shit like this. That's what's more frustrating.
And he does shit like this consistently. So there will be at least 2, 3, 4, 5 times over a season where he will do things like this. We have seen this over the seasons, and he will continue to do that. So unfortunately, that's his, what do you say, a dark side maybe, or
maybe that's the regular side. That's the regular side.
And from an Arsenal point of view, it is very clear. We have to plan to move beyond him. And I think that's also one of the reasons probably. So I think we discussed in one before, I think December, and we discussed there was nobody being linked to us. There were no transfer rumors happening. But the last 2 weeks, there are rumors all around the place. we want a midfielder. We've got all sorts of midfielders which are being linked to us, starting from Tielemans to the Arthur Melo loan to Bruno, as well as everybody.
Guimaraes, yeah.
So I think if the owner's back and we need to move beyond, there's no doubt in that. And I agree with Arun. We should not be in a situation next summer that for the next season we have Xhaka as our main midfielder. We should not be in that situation. But yeah, we don't know that things are not in our control. So let's see what happens. But I'm pretty sure in the upcoming games, there will be games where Xhaka will win games for us or give top-notch performances. And let's hope this is the last of this season.
Yeah.
Last red of this season.
One last question about Xhaka though, Arun, right? Like the one last question about Xhaka though is like,
so we're not going to be. Does that mean that we're never going to be talking about Xhaka hereafter ever in this podcast for the rest of the season?
That's not possible. But
let's please tell me that's the situation. I don't want to talk about that.
About this game. One last question of Xhaka about this game. Let me get it that way, right?
Okay.
So, why is it was Xhaka the last man to defend that ball? He's not the fastest of players. It should have been either
you would think Gabriel or
KT. Why was that? And not just this game, right? This is what is happening. Every time Xhaka does something crazy, it's either when he's the last man or he's like
all alone and out of position.
All alone or out of position. Why is that happening? Like, is it because we trust him so much that we
probably I would think that because like we overload the left side and KT is always pushing up, like that's how we attack. Usually you have Gabriel, he doesn't push forward too much. For that instance, he was pushing forward, which left Xhaka all alone. But I would if you are a player with the caliber and the reputation that you bring in like Xhaka does, as a manager, I would definitely trust him. If I'm trusting a Martinelli to do what he does, and he's only 20, Xhaka is 28, he's the captain of his national team. Why should I not trust him to do things there? That he doesn't
something like this.
Yeah, that he doesn't fulfill the trust is a totally different thing altogether. But then if I'm having a player like that, and if it's my senior player, that's a natural tendency for the manager to trust him. But him flopping is completely different. But I've already told about this. He has very limited skill set, and if we are able to maximize that, yes, he's good. We had the same situation when last season when Leno passes a ball to him. I think it was. And then he has to give a back pass, he gives it directly in between, intercepted. That's not about Xhaka's lack of skill. That is his skill. He's not good to do that, which we know. It's similarly here. How many times have we seen Xhaka get turned over in counter attacks? He doesn't have that speed. We know that. But it's like that's a situation when Gabriel wasn't there. And usually when there are deficiencies, when one person has a deficiency, another one comes and covers for them. In this situation, there was no one to cover and he was totally left exposed. Even in spite of all that, he shouldn't have kicked Jota in the stomach. That is whatever you do, you don't do that. Jota is not Mesut Ozil or Ronaldinho to take the ball in his chest, do a couple of dings and score a goal. He's not going to do that. You could have just kept calm, maybe even allowed him to run on goal or put in a better tackle after the ball comes down. This was down to his decision making. So I you could have done so much better in that situation. And for the player, the seniority that you hold in the team and the experience you have, definitely you should have done better than that. Okay. So I do not know if it's a situation, but in terms of the thing, this is outside of skill. This is your thinking, your decision making. It's not your skill. It's your decision making. You should have made better decisions.
Arun has put it exactly, because this was not about skill. It was a stupid decision. And like Arun mentioned earlier, if an Arsenal player does this, there's no doubt it's a red.
Yeah, it's a red. The default, it's a red. We know this is a reputation that you're carrying. We know this is a reputation the team is carrying. And at that point, if you're making a decision like that, that's what differentiates the really good ones from the average ones. The kind of decisions that you're able to make in situations like this. If you put a foot wrong, it's going to be a red. And you're going to be able to do the right thing there. If you're not able to do the right thing there, all your experience and I don't want to go more into Xhaka, all your experience is useless.
So,
That's all I would say.
Okay, so we will stop the Xhaka discussion there.
Yes.
Doing the right thing. It was talking about doing the right thing. The manager did the right thing, taking out Nketiah and putting in Holding and going to a back three, which we never expected it to happen. Right, when we have been playing back four, but he brought in Holding, whose job was to just hold like what Holding does, and he did his job properly, and this back three worked, and that showed. Like, we kept most of Liverpool's attack at bay. They didn't have a shot on target for all the shooting that they did. So it was a great defensive performance.
Firmino was shattered. Like, you should have seen him. He never had a chance. He was always trying to go in. There was one point where all three of them came together on him.
Yeah.
And like, it was unbelievable the way in which they closed Firmino down. It was fantastic to watch.
Yeah. And mention for me about Lokonga needs to be done here, because he was the lone midfielder who put his body online. There were so many instances where he just was like, I don't care if I get hit in the face or body with the ball, I'm going to put my body online. And that kid was absolutely immense in the game. And like, credit where it's due, right? I mean, we have always been talking about this kid needs to grow up and everything, but he was there. He was the one who was running in for every defensive shift that needs to be done. So I was mightily impressed by the kid. I was mightily impressed. But like you said, it was like a proud moment for me after the game to see all the kids just, laying down on the pitch after the game with exhaustion. But there is a flip side to all this, right? That we have the North London Derby coming up even. With all this exhaustion, with no midfield options, are like, there was a joke that was happening around Twitter where our midfield options are going to be Arteta and Jack Wilshere, which it could probably be. That's how much thin we are on paper or on the midfield area, right? Do we like, what are you expecting about the North London Derby?
I am hoping, because it's a North London derby. If it was any other team, I would have said yes, the team is exhausted, done. But because it's North London derby, it's going to bring a different kind of passion to the game. And the drive is going to be even more, because we're going to play Spurs. So I hope that drive and adrenaline is enough for our team to perform, because I think Arteta said in his press conference, we're likely to have at the moment 12 first teamers who are available. Everybody else is out due to COVID or injury and all. So I think that's the only thing that can get us through. What we did against Liverpool, we need the same passion, hunger too. And the Spurs game will automatically bring that out of us, out of our players. But yeah, otherwise, yes, obviously, for a defensive performance like what we saw against Liverpool, it drains everything. You're giving above your 100%. So obviously, it takes a toll on your body. It's just that the Spurs game and the passion and the adrenaline that comes with it, hopefully that carries them through the game, if the game happens.
If the game happens, that's a good question, Arun. Will the game happen? Could we think that, because we have been the only team that has been playing consistently. We have had no postponement because of us.
You can go back to your conspiracy theory. You can go back to your conspiracy theory.
No, I think I was like, I posted this in the group, the WhatsApp group that we share. Mari should take one for the team. I feel really bad saying this, but he should probably go and hug Odegaard and increase the number of cases that we have and make himself useful. but on a serious note, like, yeah, I mean, like, we have, like Aben said, we have 12 first team players fit and available. Ideally, not the right situation to face Tottenham in a big NLD game, which is, I would say, like a 6-pointer. It's probably like going to set the tone for the rest of the season in the way in which we are going to go up for the top 4 spot. Usually, like, I don't say this because I don't really believe top 6 games define anything, but this is like against a team that is like at the same level as us, fighting for the same spot, the same ambition. So this would like show us, and it would be a good follow-up to the City and Liverpool games as well, you know. So it is a very important game. Would I want the game to get postponed? Right now, no, because they do not have Son, and they look very depleted not in terms of the players on the pitch, but in terms of their confidence and the way in which they are playing on the pitch. So this would be a good time for us to go. But again, having said that, the performance that they put yesterday meant that I do not know if Martinelli or Xhaka would be able to run for even 60 minutes on Sunday. And when we are playing an away game, that to a derby game, like you need your players to be able to put in the same kind of performance. So I'm really like conflicted on this one. I do not know. It would be a really good situation for us to play, but given that the confidence that we carry, but in terms of the fatigue, it's a big problem because we are again playing Liverpool again. That's going to be another high intensity game at the Emirates. Though we'll have the crowd backing us, it's going to be real high intensity. So I think I'll buy into your conspiracies now. Probably the FA is actually against us. They don't want us to do well, and they're putting all these high pressure games one after the other. But it seems like there are discussions going on right now between Arsenal and the Premier League to be able to postpone. So I think the best thing for everybody to be able to is to get it postponed. So by the time it does happen, we would have Party back and maybe another midfielder to replace Xhaka. You never know. And probably Vlahovic, So if they are getting Son, then if we are getting all these people, then I wouldn't mind getting this game postponed and playing at another date.
Arun, wake up.
A man can dream.
But if the game happens, let's do this round of predictions. I don't want to talk a lot about the game because if it doesn't happen, it's going to be a moot point. So. Let's do this round of predictions. I'll start with Aben. Aben, what are your predictions for the North London Derby?
2-0 to the Arsenal.
Good. Arun,
I think we'll win 2-1.
2-1. So there you go. I was going for a 2-0. There is no way I'm going to predict a draw or a loss against Spurs. So especially when we are.
I was actually thinking 1-1 or 2-1, but then I think I'm more confident about it 2-1.
Yes. So we have all predicted victories against the lot over.
Just let's wait and watch how they disappoint us on Sunday.
Oh, come on. I was going to end it on a high note. And
sorry for being a dampener. You can go on and end it on a high note.
But again, right, this is the best time to play that lot over there. And I hope that this is going to be something of an extension of the performances that we have been doing with big games. So at least on that note, thanks, guys. Thanks for, joining in today and discussing this game. And if as listeners you like what you are listening, please do like, share, and subscribe, and comment in on anything that you want us to add to the discussion. And meet you guys after the victory against Spurs. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.